Hi, everybody, and welcome to Uncommon Sense America, the show where we discuss the important things and trends happening in our country and why we need to know about them. I'm your host, Dave Long, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about dating apps and dating sites and some of the craziness you can expect to come across if you use these things. Now, let's cover some of the insanity that you're likely to encounter these days on some of these more popular and mainstream dating apps and sites that I've noticed and that I've heard about from friends and read about in online reviews and those types of things. So the first the first thing I want to bring up, and I've seen this on Tinder and Bumble, and I've seen it on just some of the free like dating websites as well. It's this really nowadays this very widespread use of the Snapchat filters. So like the dog face filters, and there are a lot of other ones as well that people kind of overlay. Like the floral wreaths and crowns and things like that. And sometimes you'll only see those pictures in someone's profile, or there'll be like at least half of the pictures someone has. And it really just kind of begs the question, like to the people who are using all of these filters, like what are you covering up on your face, on your head, that you don't want your potential matches to see, right? Or at the very least, does it suggest that you're kind of covering up or hiding something psychologically or mentally, right? So that's the first point. The next thing I've been seeing quite a bit of in today's age of trying to get followers and likes on Instagram and Facebook, whoever uses that still, and just doing the whole Snapchat thing. So it's stating in someone's kind of profile or bio or about me section or whatever you want to call it on a dating site or a dating app, to hey, check out my my Instagram, and even linking to it. And I think I might be wrong about this, but I think that Tinder and or Bumble kind of by default have like an Instagram, like a link your Instagram to your Tinder or Bumble account or whatever, so people can check out your pictures. And I'm kind of on the fence about this. I can see it from both points of view. So on the one hand, most of these dating sites and apps only allow you to have on your profile a certain number of pictures, right? And it varies depending on the site or the app that you're using. And sometimes it's like if you pay more, you can have more pictures up there for people to see. So I understand the appeal of this, that you can link to these very kind of photo-centric social sharing platforms like Instagram, for instance. So I get it from that perspective. Now, on the other hand, I have to wonder in a lot of cases if someone has a very sparse profile in the sense that they don't have very much written material there, but they've maxed out their photos, and then in their bio or their profile description they might say hey, check out my Instagram, and then they'll have their Instagram link or whatever. I have to wonder, are these people only looking for more Instagram followers, or are they really using that particular dating site or app for the purpose of potentially meeting someone that they might date or hook up with or marry, or whatever it is that they're trying to get out of it, right? So are they trying to actually make a connection with another human being, or are they just trying to get more Instagram followers or likes? And this segues into my next point, some of just the craziness that you'll see on these profiles is, not having anything written in the profile. Maybe you'll have pictures, hopefully, otherwise there's nothing there, or having an extremely short profile that tells potential matches potentially nothing, at least nothing of substance about that person, or having something that is just overly generic, right? So just examples of this, a girl stating in her bio or about me section that she loves margaritas. Great. I mean, do you know how many other profiles have been written that say that exact same thing? Nobody's going to say they don't like margaritas. And I mean, very few people would. Why would you waste the time? Or something that I've seen. This is more so in the apps where you typically have less space than most websites to enter information about yourself. Just listing the cities that you live in or have lived in, I should say. Right? And half the times there won't even be any real accompanying information with this. It'll just be, as an example, San Diego with like an arrow sign or emoji to Las Vegas or somewhere in Texas or somewhere in Florida or somewhere in the Midwest to, another arrow or emoji to, somewhere else. And, it's not even writing out things they liked about those cities or things they did. It's just this kind of bullet point checklist of places where someone has lived. It really tells you virtually nothing about the person. Something else that I think a lot of people should, watch out for when they're on these dating sites and apps is if they come across a profile, and in this profile, either the person says or maybe there's like a checkbox for it or something, where they basically indicate that they're, currently separated from their spouse, or if they say anything to the effect of, they have a complicated current relationship situation going on. To me, these are really red flags. It says that this person is, still at least on some level emotionally attached to, somebody else, but they're kind of dipping their toes in the water, so to speak, and getting, back into the dating or the hookup realm, again, whatever it is they're trying to do. Some people might, in the comments say that they met the love of their life on a dating site or an app, and at the time the love of their life was, separated from their spouse or whatever. I'm not saying that it can't work for some people. I'm just saying that it's something most people are probably going to want to be aware of and take caution with before they get involved with someone who's, separated from their spouse, meaning they're not single, right? They still have some attachment or connection to their spouse or their former spouse or their former boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever the case is. The next thing people really need to be on the lookout for is anybody who just flat out states in a dating app or on a dating site that they're on that site or they're using that app because they're bored, right? They're bored, or they're just looking for something to do. So my question is, what do you think is going to happen when that person gets bored of talking to you? right? I mean, if they're just kind of killing time, my advice in a lot of situations is, if you come across somebody that has that written in their profile, take extreme caution before you message them or, swipe right or, kind of get involved with them, because someone who's on one of these sites or apps who's just bored, maybe they kind of fall into one of those categories I mentioned earlier in this video. Maybe they're just really trying to get some more Instagram followers, trying to get enough so that, maybe they can kind of monetize that or drive traffic to like a personal website, or, who knows. But I would recommend being cautious of anybody who, indicates that they're just bored or just, looking for something to do. Really, the next point, this is the final point I'm going to make in this video, is, people who state in their profile that, if you voted a certain way in whatever the last major election was, to not even bother messaging them, right? So a common one that I've seen and read about a lot over the past several months now is, people saying in their profiles, if you voted for Trump, President Trump, swipe left, or, don't bother messaging me, or, things like that, or, don't bother, messaging me or swiping right if you don't like dogs, for instance, right? Now, I get it. I understand this, that people do need to be compatible on, I would imagine, at least a few different levels and on a few different topics for there to be any kind of chemistry there, whether it's for just, hooking up or dating or possibly even getting married down the road. Totally understand that. My issue with some of the people who write these types of things in their profile is that, it really just sends out an overly negative vibe right from the get-go, right? So if you kind of make these qualifying statements right up front, and I actually think of these kind of as like disqualifying statements, for the reason that, you're saying if you are affiliated with a certain political party and that's like the only way you vote, it just casts people in too much of a black and white, when really people are shades of gray, right? So, there are other ways to say things, like, I typically vote Democrat or Republican, or you can just say, like, my personal preferences are, I like cats more than dogs, right? Instead of just saying, don't bother messaging me if you don't like dogs, for instance. There are better, more positive ways to kind of put that information out there. So anyway, that's really all I have to say for this video, and we'll talk to you in the next one.